without the fluff. I'm Rebecca Heaton, and today we're diving into a conversation that I think a lot of organizations are really going to connect with. Today, I've got two of our cybersecurity engineers joining me, Aaron Sullivan and Elmer Robinson. These are the guys who are in it every day, monitoring, responding, helping protect organizations from the kinds of threats we all keep hearing about. They see what's actually happening and not just in theory. And I think that their perspective is going to be really valuable for today's conversation. So, welcome, Aaron and Elmer. Excited to
Thanks,
have you both
Rebecca.
on
Glad to be here.
today. Today, we have a special guest and a Trumbull client, Jody Plett. She is the CEO of FlexKeeper, a modern accounting firm founded in 2011 and based in Boynton Beach, Florida. She helps growing businesses untangle their financials, streamline operations, and turn messy books into clean, audit ready insights using smart cloud based systems. A process loving problem solver, Jody is known for building strong teams, creating efficient workflows, and making accounting feel a whole lot less overwhelming. When she's not optimizing workflows, Jody is on a mission to visit NFL stadiums across the country, fully committing to cheering on the home team in each city or dreaming up her next big idea over a really good cup of coffee. Please welcome Jody.
Hey, Jody.
Hey, Aaron. Thank you, Rebecca. Nice to be here with you guys.
Thank you for joining us. We're excited to hang out and chat. Really excited to be discussing with you what went down a few years ago, as well as how everything's been going now. Why don't we start and just dive right into it? Talk a little bit about what happened that day back in, you said June 2024, right?
Yeah, right after the Florida Panthers won their Stanley Cup, the first of two that they
Mm-hmm.
won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how did it go down day of, 0 day, D-Day? What was it like?
Well, I had celebrated with the Panthers, not actually with the Panthers, but the Panthers fans that night, and we got home about 5 in the morning. I had just attended an
Wow.
accounting conference and was building out my tech stack, and so I was expecting several DocuSigns for my contracts. I also had a broken foot, so I had to go to the doctor at 10 a.m. And so by the time I got back to our office and started reading through the emails, my brain was quite foggy
Mm-hmm.
from the festivities of the night before. And there's the DocuSign in my email inbox. And so I was trying to be efficient and I
Mm-hmm.
clicked on it and asked me for my Microsoft password. So I entered in my Microsoft password, which I won't tell you what it is at the moment, but it did have something about
You could
hackers.
at this point, right?
I did. I already had a
Hopefully, it's not the
good.
same one anymore.
It is not the same one, and it was a good password. I mean, it was using the numbers and creating my words.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, hackers was in the
That's funny.
password itself. Yes,
I
that's
bet
kind
they
of
got a laugh.
ironic. I'm sure they did because I
Yeah.
didn't just give it to them once. I gave it to it twice. I wanted to make sure that they really knew, how to get
Mm-hmm.
into my Outlook and my Microsoft products. Apparently, nothing really happened at that moment. Outlook did kind of flutter and shut down, and I just rebooted my computer and went on with my day.
Mm-hmm. And
Probably
how many
around.
of us have like been in that situation? I mean, that's such a common Monday morning thing. Um, I almost got caught myself a week or so ago. It happens. You're going through your emails and you got a link and and it's like you need to update your Microsoft credentials or something like that, and you click it and then like it took me to a web page and I was like, wait a minute. I don't think I need to be here. And I closed it and I was like, okay, dodge that one. But yeah, that's a very common experience, I think, on a Monday morning. Even if you don't have a crazy hockey obsession on a Sunday night or anything like that, coming in on Monday morning and having all that in front of you, you just want to get it done. And they know this. We've talked about this before.
Mhm.
I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind is that these threat actors, they're aware of that Monday morning feeling and they're going to try to take advantage of that.
Oh, for sure. And they did. And I do have an IT background. I went to school for it, was certified at one point back in the Windows XP days. So I
Oh wow.
knew better, you know, and I preached to my team and my employees constantly about not, you know, if something looks off, you need to not, you know, err on the caution side. Don't open
Mhm.
it. Ask Trumbull Tech, you know, what is this? But no, not that day. I just, you know, decided to, you know, just launch right in.
Mhm.
Um,
And
they didn't.
was there any immediate evidence when you clicked the link that in the end turned out to be the bad link? Did you know right away? Was there any reaction? You said Outlook fluttered. What happened when you clicked the link?
Nothing, which was
Mhm.
crazy to me because it brought up a real, you know, DocuSign. It was a
Oh,
DocuSign
Mhm.
replication. And so when it asked me for my Microsoft password, I should have been clearer, um, and you know, recognize that this is coming from DocuSign, but they're asking me for my Microsoft, but I wasn't. When the Outlook, and oftentimes Microsoft, or you know, your computer might be running slow, and you know, you have to
Mhm.
do a reboot, you have to clear your cache and all that fun stuff. So when Microsoft was just like not responding, and then I just shut everything down, came back up, everything worked fine. It wasn't until later in the evening, probably around 6 o'clock, and I was using my Microsoft Teams app on my phone and having
Mhm.
conversation with my employees, and that shut down. And so I went over to my computer. I had a little heart flutter at that moment.
yeah.
Went over to the computer, and everything was shut down. My whole Microsoft suite was shut down. So I knew I needed to get a hold of Trumbull immediately. And so I had Jason, our CFO, who's also my husband. I said, I need you to get on your computer and let them know that, you know, I think there's an issue.
Mhm.
Trumbull was already on it.
Mhm.
You know, Huntress had already done what they were supposed to be doing. So, but it was, once I realized, I knew as soon as I went to my computer and I couldn't
Mhm.
get into anything what I had done. And I knew the exact moment that had happened, and I knew exactly what I had done.
Mhm.
Well, and I think that's why you couldn't get into your system, correct? Is because Huntress, we caught it and
It
Dave was
isolated the
working, and
device.
yes, we were
Yeah.
Yeah,
isolating the system, correct? Yeah.
immediately. And
Yeah.
I think the reason why it didn't happen in the beginning is because the hackers were storing information throughout the day, and then they came in to try to get in to everybody that, you know, they had gotten a password to.
And I think that's a key point in my opinion, because I feel like people think if they click on something, they're immediately going to know, and they're, you
Mhm.
know, like it's just some big, their screen turns green or like
Mhm.
crossbones come on or whatever, and it's
Yep.
like that's not how it works. They
They
want
think, hey, I've got
you.
Norton antivirus. Some alarm bell's going to
Yeah.
ring if I
Mhm.
Yeah.
click on a bad link. But
And it's like,
we,
no, they actually want to be in your system for as long as possible because they're just
yeah.
collecting data.
And
So
we have talked a little bit about this offline that really in this day and age, antivirus is almost a formality. It's one of
Mhm.
those baseline security players that you have to have in your stack, but it's not really stopping anything anymore. The truth is that the bad guys walk straight past your antivirus software. Those alarm bells will never ever ring.
Mhm.
So the
correct.
bad guys are in owning the system. They've stolen
Right.
all the data. They've put their remote control hooks in at this point so that when the computer reboots, they're still in the system. And all that's happened fairly much in the matter of a click. And your antivirus has never gone off through any of
Mhm.
that process and won't through the rest of the whole.
Right. And that's why we use the EDR tool for the device itself. But in this instance, it was the ITDR. Is that right, Aaron?
Yep. Yep. ITDR.
IDDR?
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be MDR, but they changed it,
You know,
and
I'm
ever
not good
since
with
they changed
acronyms.
it,
That's your job.
So what does
And
that mean on an account? I don't know what those acronyms are.
ITDR is what identity detection and response. I think I'm missing the T there. I'm blanking on the T, but yeah, that's the one that monitors like logins and stuff, and it's connected directly to your M3, in this case M365. And so that was the one basically that was tripped and said, hey, this doesn't match any of the known behavior we have for this client. This doesn't match the location that they normally log in from. This is suspicious. And then it investigates. And when it finds that it's more than suspicious, it's able to act, act faster than humans can. And for anyone who's interested, I'll see if I can put in the comments the link for the case study, because I do think it's a really great read. And if any viewers want to read that after the show, I highly recommend it. One of the things it talks about in the case study that Huntress wrote on the issue was that even Dave himself, when he eventually came in to remediate and work on it, he wasn't in front of his desk. He wasn't, I think he was out driving somewhere. And Huntress had already taken the most critical steps necessary to contain and to isolate the problem before humans could even become involved, before you even called Trumbull, before you called us and got a hold of Dave. It already did the work. And that's what's so special, because we've talked a lot on this show about the difference between an EDR program and an antivirus, and how much better EDR is over antivirus. We cannot stress that enough.
I want to touch on that just a second, Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I want to make sure all the audience understands that difference. And really, the antivirus, I've said that the bad guys will stroll right past that. Your antivirus, what you've thought traditionally of as your main protection, is really acts as a no-fly list. It's got a list of, of people it's not going to let on the plane. And that's the modern threat actor goes right past that, because you get an email in your inbox and you click that email link, and it's never going to show up on that no-fly list. It's going to be allowed by the system. And the reason that we've used terms like EDR, detection and response, it's really the DR part of that that's critical. It's the detection and response, because you have to go way past the antivirus no-fly list type of product. You have to now have something that what do you do when the bad guy is already in? That's the problem. And the antivirus is going to let the bad guy straight in. So
I think, to use your metaphor a little bit about letting people onto a plane and having a no-fly list, it's like antivirus is going to be the guy in front of the plane with a list of names, and they're just checking names. First name, last name matches the ID. Yep, you're in the plane, you match. But what if that, the plane is picking up people in New York City, but John Smith, whose name matches the list, is boarding the plane from India? If it matches the name, it's good. Hop in the plane, man. But EDR is able to say, hey, behaviorally, that doesn't line up with how this is supposed to work. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't match what is supposed to be going on here. And that's that to keep it in metaphor. I'm going to use that, Elmer. I'm stealing that. I really like that no-fly list.
All yours, man. Yeah. And I think that's the key understanding. The detection and response part is, it has to be there. And it has to be a behavior watching tool. It's got to be something that looks for the bad guy behavior and doesn't just work off of a no-fly list. So that's the detection and response part. And that's really what saved Jody in this.
Yeah.
It really did, because it got past the proof point. It went right on past that and ended up in my inbox.
Well, and I think AI is not helping anything either, right? Like, the emails of, I'm a prince in Saudi Arabia, I need money now. Those days are gone, right? I mean, or like a misspelling, or, it's a Amazon logo, but it's a little bit off. Like, now with AI, that's not happening anymore. I mean, now it's looking more and more legit.
Yeah, perfect replication. The bad guys, their ability to steal the Bank of America website and send you a login page that looks exactly like that, or the IRS, or basically any kind of credential. They can duplicate that and send that out in a few minutes with a matter of a couple clicks using the tools that they have.
And now, I mean, specifically too, with the way AI is moving, it's like instead of getting that email, Rebecca, with the Nigerian prince, he calls you and talks to you with his voice, or better yet, you're in a Teams meeting on camera with him, and he looks like he does on his ID. So it's only becoming more sophisticated.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's actually worth a little more discussion, because AI really has changed the game in some of this. The threat actors, unfortunately, are some of the first people to leverage new technologies when they come along, because think about the amount of money that's involved. And if they can send an email that doesn't just say click here, but it sounds like it came from your boss or your client, somebody that you're used to communicating with, because they can feed that into their systems now. So if they can get in, if you can click a link, they can grab a few emails from your boss. Then from then on, they can generate emails from your
Yep.
boss.
That sound and type,
And
just like, yeah.
they can be your boss from that point on, or your biggest customer, or the board of directors, or whoever they can capture. They can emulate that to perfection now, so that if you, and as to Aaron's point, even beyond the textual email, like they're able now to use AI tools to create video and audio representations that can fool you in a Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
for
it's a
sure.
new level of terrifying. Yeah.
And they're getting this information too from the internet, from our website,
Yep.
because my email's on my website, and my team has apparently gotten raises that I didn't know that they were given raises, because they're sending out that information to my team. But because of what we had experienced prior to, now that becomes, we have a whole team's chat just specifically for, hey, watch for this, because,
Mm,
and we'll screen capture
Another
and put it into the team meeting.
that's
Another tip that
fantastic.
we've given people too is, especially if you're the owner or, a department head or whatever, don't use your own voice on your voicemail at work. Have someone else on your team be that voice, because they're collecting your voice from your voicemail, and then they're able to, create you to say anything in your own voice. So that's another just tip out there is, don't have it be your own voice for your voicemail.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And I do really like too what you said, Jody, that the idea that you have an open channel basically where your team can just say like, hey, I got this. Did you send this? Or hey, I got this. This seems weird. Hey, by the way, I'm seeing a lot of emails that's fantastic. And we talk a lot about keeping cybersecurity front of your mind for most of your team. And that's really cool that you guys are doing that. Kudos to you. That's excellent. I think everybody should have an open channel like that with their team to make sure that everyone's communicating correctly.
Oh, for
Looks
sure,
like we
because they
have a
did not get
question.
those raises.
We have a question for you, Jody. Jody, as a business owner, what was the most stressful part of the experience?
Feeling that I failed my
Mm,
my team and our clients, what actually was probably my biggest stress with it. When I realized what had happened and it was shut down, I didn't have a lot of anxiety and stress on that on my part, because I felt like I was being protected by Trumbull, and that as soon as like Dave came in, and one of the first things he did was scan the files to see what files may have been opened, and he sent those to me immediately, and they were all ones that I had personally opened, and so I knew that nothing was breached. I think the bigger stress was on Dave.
mm-hmm.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
You had to come through basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, little anxiety set in, but just knowing immediately and seeing immediately the results of the scans took that level of stress that could have been there had I not had those that software and everything set up that you guys had done. I actually didn't understand what the Huntress was on our systems. I just trusted Trumbull with everything that they were doing and offering at the time, and I am so grateful for that.
And
Yeah,
then Elmer, you came in and we did a ton of different scans, correct? Just to kind of see where any other gaps might be and things like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that process of it?
Yeah, for sure. Well, Aaron kind of touched on it. The bad guys are trying to live in the environment. This isn't an event. This is a process the bad guys work you through. And the entry point, the click, that's just the beginning of the process. And so it's really important, like, you guys really had protection in place, and you had, a layer of protection and a response plan that allowed you to mitigate that and get out the other end in really pretty clean way. Sometimes I get the call from businesses when it's after the fact and the protections weren't in place and the whole event ran its course, kind of worst possible scenarios, and we're really just trying to save the business itself from failure and collapse. And so having the protections in place in the beginning is really important, not just to protect productivity and costs, but the existence of the business. It's really that serious these days. And so I think that it's just critical to have those types of monitoring in place. I'm reminded when Jody said she felt, excuse me, like they had failed the business and the customers. I'm not sure everyone understands just, how efficient the bad guys are, how good they are at this game. We had, as a guest on one of our podcasts, a person who worked at a bank, and they were talking about the fact that they had 2 or 3 bank customers a week come in and try to withdraw funds to send to some scammer who was on the phone telling them, don't tell the bank why you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And
they have to train their employees, right, to see the warning signs.
Employees to be aware of this. And she told the story about how one of their bank employees who faced this weekly, who'd been trained on awareness around this, fell victim to a scammer. And so it's really, first of all, you've got to understand the nature of the game and the tools and weapons the bad guys bring to bear. The psychological pressure that they employ is immense. Yep. I mean, on one hand, if you're an accountant and it's March and it's the middle of tax season and you get 400 emails a day that says, here's the document you've been waiting on, any one of those could be the one. Mm-hmm. And if you get that phone call that says, we're from Microsoft, we need access to your computer, like, does Microsoft ever call and get access to the computer? But the psychological tactics they will bring to bear, as Aaron said, they'll call you on the phone, mm-hmm. and they will just manipulate you emotionally to the point that you're standing in front of a bank teller trying to withdraw all of your money and being told on the phone, don't tell them why you're here. And so that's kind of, the bad guys have elevated their game in terms of AI, in terms of emotional pressure. Like, they're really good at this, and you have to not underestimate that in any way. Yep. And having the proper defenses in place. The thing that saved Jody was having a detection and response tool in place to catch that.
Good. Another question for Jody. You're popular today, Jody. Thanks for being on. Jody, what advice would you give business owners who feel overwhelmed by cybersecurity?
You shouldn't feel overwhelmed at all. I mean, it's protecting our businesses as a whole. Having as a small business owner and growing the company, my very first real vendor contract was with Trumbull Tech. That was, far above any of my other tech stacks that we have put on with the company. And it could be because I do have an IT background and was once, Microsoft certified. So I just kind of got tired of doing my own IT.
I remember that conversation. You were like, I know what I'm doing, but I don't want to do it anymore. I want to focus on my business, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I remember having that conversation with you.
Yeah, right away. Like Trumbull was my very first big vendor contract purchase, and the best one, because it's already saved the company and saved our clients' information. We have a lot of compliance because we are accountants, and like IRS, guidelines. We are going away from collecting documents and emails altogether and using other platforms that have those securities in it. But as we've seen, having that security on our documents and on our Microsoft suite is key to the whole organization of being secure. So I hope that answered the question, but don't let it be overwhelming. I mean, it's got to be your first line of defense.
Mm-hmm.
And Trumbull Tech really does make it simple in just providing the solution. And it's really an enterprise level solution that's been brought down in pricing to where individuals and small businesses can afford it. So that's kind of the exciting part. Office 365 is almost its own animal. There's a level of complexity there that is just, candy from a baby for the bad guys, because there are so many places you can hide in Office 365 that if you don't really have some sophisticated tools to take a look at the environment, as a network engineer who has lived a fraction of my life inside Office 365 administration consoles, I can say that there's no way to hunt them out. Like their level of complexity, the number of places to the settings and indicators of compromise could exist. There's just no way a human being could root through all that and keep it secure. And so you have to bring some tools to that. And that was what we did as a follow-up to Jody's event, was to come in with some specialized scanning tools that go in and look for every place that there's a setting that needs to be tightened up, or sometimes the bad guys will just put in a forwarding rule that will send all your email directly to them. And if you don't know where to look, how do you know, right? Mm-hmm. If you haven't looked to see if the forwarding rule is in your Office 365 environment, you don't know. And that's true of every one of those, 10,000 settings that are in that environment. And so having a tool that can look and compare what it sees against best practices and hardening recommendations is kind of critical. I recommend that for anybody that's never had it done. I don't think it should be a post-event type of thing. I think you're better off looking in advance and making that almost a separate effort around having a good management and detection and response tool.
That's so true. I had no idea Microsoft had so many settings. I play with numbers. I don't play with settings of my, Microsoft products. So until you were able to show me that, it really opened my eyes to how much it is. And I can see where that would be overwhelming for, a business owner, but we all have our lanes. And my lane is accounting. And, I can't study every technology thing out there, but that's what Elmer is for. And you were instrumental in showing me what was open and what needed to be tightened up. And I believe now we are starting to do quarterly scans with that. Yep. As you said, it's being proactive, not reactive.
Absolutely. And even the security awareness training too. Like I know you're going to be adapting that pretty soon as well, just to kind of make sure all your employees are, paying attention to the emails coming through and different things. So
updating her talent stack, right? I like that. I'm stealing that from another company from someone. So I'm quoting them.
And I have a question for you, Jody, too, because like going back to how, you had IT background, you were wearing the hat, and then you were just like, I know I can do it, but I don't want to do it anymore. I want to focus on my business. So my question to you is, in seeing the number of employees that you're bringing on and your growth, I would say that taking off that hat has allowed you to grow your business. I don't know by how much, but it's definitely growing, and you're being able to focus on your business.
Oh, a lot. I think at the time we might have had 5 employees, and we're ranging in the 15 to 17 amount. And I can't imagine, like at that point with 5 on a daily basis, I was getting IT requests from everybody. I'm locked out. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I wasn't getting any work done. I was being the IT department. So I can't imagine the load that it would be on me now, on a daily basis with this many employees. Oftentimes, I don't even know that they've reached out to Trumbull because I've told them, quit coming to me, you have support. And they do. They all reach out to you guys directly. It's great.
Mhm. Yeah, and they're great to work with, by the way. Most of the time, those requests are coming into me. So, and your team is great. One of the comfortable places I work in every single day is helping out the FlexKeeper.
That's amazing to hear. We do have a pretty amazing team.
And you touched on the cybersecurity awareness training. I feel like that's probably the biggest bang for the buck, in cybersecurity strategies. And there are tools and solutions, and Trumbull Tech has some great solutions that allow them to send out regular emails that can just, pretend to be a hacker email and provide follow-up training and that kind of thing to coach people into best behaviors around this. But cybersecurity awareness is also a cultural thing, and Jody has obviously made that part of their firm. So that starts at the top and it trickles down. And so creating a culture around it, just having the conversation, keeping it top of mind, making people think about it. Yeah, investing in maybe a solution or a tool that sends out a checkup email every once in a while, or some follow-up video training, that kind of thing, can certainly be beneficial. But I believe that investing anything in security awareness training is probably the biggest payback you're going to get.
Absolutely. Education is key. And on our team, we don't believe in mistakes. There's never a mistake that happens. It's a learning tool and a growth mechanism. So when that happened, and I came to the team and I said, this is what happened. And it was me that did it. It wasn't any of the team members. It was me. It was a great learning tool for everybody. And so, we grew from it, and we have more protection than we did back then. And we continue, as you mentioned, with AI and the changing and how fast we're evolving in this technology world. It's important that we continue to stay ahead of it, and again, be proactive and not reactive. And education is a key player in that part.
And kudos to you as a business owner for admitting that to your team. Seriously, I feel like there are a lot of business owners that would be like,
I don't know.
I don't
Yeah.
know
Who did that?
Someone. Yeah.
So
that immediate reaction of, I think something's wrong, take a look right now, because too many people just brush it off, sweep it under the rug, or don't want to look it in the face. And by the time IT gets the call, it's the first time I ever had to fight a ransomware infection. It had run all weekend because we suspicious activity. And they clicked on a bad link on a Friday night, just before everybody went to bed. And it wasn't until Monday morning that we realized that the servers had been encrypted. So it's, don't, if you think something's wrong, speak up, wave a flag right away.
Absolutely.
And then I kind of wanted to segue into kind of the marketing piece of it, Jody, if you don't mind, just because I feel like this was an interesting kind of final piece to the story, right? Where we had hunters had come to us saying, hey, we'd love to do a case study with, this incident between Trumbull and FlexKeeper. And immediately you said, absolutely. but then you paused, and I'll let you finish the story, but because you have other partners. So I kind of wanted you to walk us through that piece of it as well, because I think that's really important as well.
Oh, for sure. And probably because, again, going back to my own IT background, I was like, yeah, we need to get the word out, that this happens. I do have 3 business partners, and I always collaborate with them on, anything of this magnitude. And I went to them, and they were all like, no, we have to keep this, under the table. We don't want to, scare any of the clients. We don't want the company to be known as, oh, you got hacked, and let's not hire the flex keeper because they got hacked. And having a conversation with them, I quite opposite, is we were protecting our clients from the start, and we wanted to get the word out that that's the type of company that we are, that we're not just here to do your accounting and your taxes. We're here to protect your assets. And it was really important to get that out to the community and to our clients, and let them know, that they are protected, and that we were going to take it even further and check into all of our securities and openness and bring on more security for the protection. But yeah, it was a little scary, like, because we failed. Like, that's what I felt like. I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like that we actually succeeded, that it wasn't a failure, that it is a success story. And to get that out to the community, and hopefully other businesses will understand the importance of, if you're doing anything online in the computers, you have to be protected.
Absolutely.
Because you were protected and the protection worked.
Right.
And you don't necessarily want to test your defenses in a live fire environment, but in this case, it was in place and it did its job.
Yes.
Well, I think too, the more business owners that can come up and speak about things that are happening is only going to educate and help other small business owners, correct? I mean, like, I feel like small business owners don't really feel like it's going to happen to them. And I think the more and more people can say, yes, it does happen, and these are the things that are going on, you need to be aware, I think is only going to help all small businesses. So I definitely appreciate that you ended up and I think we even talked about it. I'm like, honestly, I think every consumer should be asking their CPA or accounting firm, what are you doing to protect my assets, right? And so I feel like for you, it's a marketing thing. Like, hey, we are doing these things. We are, protecting your data. And if people are not asking their accounting firms those questions, they need to be, for sure.
No, yeah, and it's quite opposite. Like, because we have other security parameters with our practice management software, which is where the clients upload their documents. We're like, we do not send it an email. We're not accepting anything, document wise for your financials in email. You have to go through this practice management software, and you would be surprised at how many of the clients find that cumbersome and annoying, and it's just so much easier for me to email. And we're like, but you can get compromised easily.
Yeah, can't I send you my tax return as a PDF file, as an email attachment?
No. And
Please
don't
be-
Let me screenshot my W-2 for you.
Yes, they do. They'll send me credit card information over email. And I'm like, no, do not do that. Like, one, I don't want the liability on it, but we are protected. But it's so easy for a hacker to get into your email and see everything that's going on in there. We see it all the time. Hey, my payroll changed. My bank changed with my payroll account, but we don't do that person's payroll. So it's like, it's amazing what people think is okay to send through email or even text.
Yes. And I feel AI is an all sort of new like pot of problems. Please don't put your profit and loss statement in an AI engine. There's just some private information. It's, cloud-based systems or somebody else's computer. And that's true of Office 365 as well as ChatGPT. And so you're really putting your trust in that person's security envelope. And we know that Microsoft has been hacked in the past. We know that ChatGPT has been hacked. And in fact, they're a private company that's not very transparent about their motives and what's going on there. So what are they doing with that information? You don't know the answers to any of these questions. And if you're putting your profit and loss statement in an AI engine, you're just hoping that they're going to take care of you. And so anyway, that's my rant.
It's a good one.
And then Jody, I would love for you to tell the audience what exactly are your services, and like, let's plug your business a little bit here.
All right, I'll do that. No, we are a full service accounting.
And I want you to tell me what the octopus stands for.
Can't really see him here. So let's see if you can get him. There he is.
There he is.
That's debit. Credit, you can't really see her. She's up in the corner there. And we have Ledger, who's the baby octopus. They are now officially trademarked. So please let me know if you see something similar. I'd like to have a conversation with them. And
Credit, debit, and ledger. That is brilliant.
I like that.
Yeah, they are our mascots, and we love them. And the octopus has a lot of meaning to us. First of all, the octopus is the most passionate creature in the sea. And I started my company, in 2011, so 15 years ago, to give my employees flexibility in their schedules. We are a remote office. We have been remote since 2011. We have a team all over the United States and in India. But it's the passion for that, for the flexibility is where the passion part comes in. The octopus has 9 brains, and each one of them function independently of each other. So every tentacle on an octopus is doing its own thing until the main brain, the head, decides to get them all together to, whatever the function it's wanting to do, whether it's to fight or to flight or be passionate. They do love people. They're also the smartest marine animal out there. There's some great documentaries and videos on octopus, and how that relates to our business is that we have a team of people that are doing anything from bank reconciliations on up to planning and analysis, to cash flow projections and budgeting, margin analysis. We're doing business and personal tax returns. So we have a lot of different tentacles and brains and professionals on our team. They also bleed blue. And I don't know if you knew this, but blue is the color of trust. And just this whole conversation, you're putting your financials, we know more about our clients than, a lot of spouses know about, their spouse, because of the information that we have for them. So you have to trust your accounting firm, and that's where the color of blue comes in. So yeah, our octopus are very dear to our heart, and we're getting the brand out there. So
I love
That's
it.
fantastic. They're brilliant creatures, and they live emotionally complex lives. And I think we completely underestimate some of the creatures that share this planet with us, and octopus are one of those. So I'm with you on that.
yeah, for sure. We would love to have a resident octopus, but they do have a very short lifespan when they're in captivity. So our fear was, that every tax season we would have to replace our octopus.
Oh.
So we have not made that leap yet, but you never know. Someday we might have a resident octopus in our office. However, we have adopted one in the marine life. I don't know really where he is in the world, but we do
Nice.
support the marine life.
That's
Very
cool.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think, do we have any other questions that have come through? I didn't see any. Do you see any, Aaron?
Nope. I think we're good.
All right. Well, awesome. I really appreciate your time today, Jody, and coming on and kind of talking about this. But I feel like it was really important and educational, I think, for other small business owners. And we will definitely be talking to you soon, because that's what we do here at Trumbull Tech, right? Is connect with our clients.
Yep.
So on that note, I appreciate everybody's time today. And I think it was a great conversation. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.